Welcome to the POG Show. I'm your host, Christine Martindale, Public Information Officer for the City of Port Orange, a city in Central Florida that is unique by choice, not by chance. I will be bringing you powerful interviews and on-the-go info to gain a better understanding of the various services and functions our city provides. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 005 of the POG Show. I have a very special guest with me today, but before I announce who that is, well, I'm sure my listeners know the name Dorothy Hukill well. She was a Florida senator whose political career spanned more than 2 decades before passing away from cancer in October 2018. She represented Senate District 14, which included Northern Brevard County and Southern Volusia County. She served the city of Port Orange at the capacity of vice mayor from 1998 to 2000, and then mayor for our city from 2000 to 2004. On February 22, 2019, the City of Port Orange commemorated the opening of the Dorothy L. Hukill City Center Annex with a ribbon-cutting ceremony, which currently includes office space for the city's Public Works and Utilities Administration, Parks and Recreation Administration, and record storage for the City Clerk's Office. So here to talk about former Senator Hukill and to celebrate her getting on to the Wall of Honor here at City Hall is her son, Jonathan Hukill. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really think the last time I saw you was at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the City Center Annex.
Hi, Christine. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's great to be on the POG Show and talk to you and talk to your listeners in Port Orange again.
Oh, it's wonderful. I know. It's like time has gone by so fast. I remember meeting you there. It was such a nice ceremony that we had to commemorate, the new building, of your mom's honor and everything. So it was great to get to know you. And now here you are on the POG Show. So it's really great to have you today.
Circumstances are a little bit different these days. It's crazy to think about what's happened in our lives since then, coming up on 2 years since that dedication. I don't think anyone could have predicted everything that we would have gone through, certainly as a country since then. But hopefully we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, I hope so too. I know, and it was so nice to get together and have that ribbon cutting where we could all be together and cut the ribbon. And now circumstances obviously are changed, and we'd probably have to have a virtual ceremony or something, right?
Yep, exactly.
So, well, before we talk about more about your mom, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in New York, but we moved down to Florida when I was very young. I grew up in Port Orange. I'm a proud Spruce Creek High School graduate. And you mentioned the time that my mom was the mayor from 2000 to 2004. And I remember growing up in the area and just remembering how much smaller everything was compared to today. When I was in high school at Spruce Creek, my friends and I would have to drive to Ormond if you wanted to go to see a movie or go out to eat or anything along those lines. And I live in Washington, D.C. now. I come back quite a bit when travel allows. But coming back to visit, whether for the ceremony last February or since then, it's just incredible how much the area has grown. I mean, it's really a different area, and that's a good thing. I think we've been really lucky to have great leadership of the city, both with Mayor Burnett, the current council, former Mayor Alan Green, and past members of the council. Having lived in Port Orange since the early 90s and then moved away, it's just incredible to see what it's become since then.
Oh, I understand. In fact, I've been in Florida 21 years, down in South Florida. I've only been in Port Orange just about 5 years or so, a little over 5, and I can see the growth in just those 5.5 years. I can't imagine, you going to high school and coming back and seeing all the growth and what Port Orange has become for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Taylor Road, that intersection with Dunlawton, is unrecognizable. I mean, I couldn't even tell you what it used to be. It used to be a gas station and a little breakfast joint, and that was it. And now you go there, and it's booming.
I know. So, in connection with your mom there, I mentioned in my brief introduction, it's going to be such an honor to have your mom honored into the Wall of Honor, which we have here at City Hall. To give our listeners some background info on the Wall of Honor, the Wall of Honor was established in 1984, is located in the lobby of City Hall, and includes individuals who have made a positive impact on our community and have brought notoriety and honor and recognition to Port Orange. the individuals recognized on the Wall of Honor have excelled year in and year out in many areas of community life. The selection process originally were the living mayors, and now it is the current mayor who makes that selection, who is now our current mayor, Mayor Don Burnett, and he wanted to make that selection of having your mom, Dorothy L. Hukill, be put on that Wall of Honor. And I'm so excited. We're going to recognize her at a council meeting on December 15th, where the mayor will read a proclamation in honor of her, and it'll just be just such an amazing lady. And I never got to meet her, but I know she's a pretty incredible woman from what I've read. So first, tell us about your mom, maybe aside from being a politician, her being a politician, or whatever you'd like to say about your mom.
Yeah, so my mom moved to Florida in 1988 after her parents had moved down from New York to retire. We first lived in Ponce Inlet for several years, and then we came over to Port Orange in the early 90s. Before she moved to Florida, she had been practicing law in New York, and she actually got started as a public school teacher in New York City, primarily working with students who were learning English as a second language. She was the first in her family to go to college. Her dad grew up in New York City. He was a World War II vet who was wounded in action in France, and then after he got back from the war, he spent his entire career working for GE as a salesman. And her mom was a homemaker from South Carolina. They just happened to meet while he was going through training before he went overseas when he was in South Carolina as well. And my mom, I said she was the first member of her family to go to college. She actually won a scholarship through the state of New York to go to college. She was a very good student, but she came from just sort of a regular working class background. And she always said that scholarship was what really opened so many doors for her, because with her parents and her family, no one had really gone down that road before. And that was kind of that one defining thing that set her up for the rest of her life. And that was one of the reasons why she got involved in public service in the first place. She always felt that because she had been given that scholarship by her community, it was really up to her to give back.
What a wonderful legacy she leaves behind, for sure. You mentioned New York. I'm from upstate New York originally, and my dad worked for GE for 35 years, and so you brought that.
Wonderful.
And it's just a small world up in Schenectady, New York, and so it's
Okay.
rare that somebody spends really their whole career with really one company, but small world that is. And so segueing into your mom, what did you like about your mom being a politician?
Well, I'll start with something that maybe I didn't like so much. When you are going into ninth grade and your mom is the mayor of the town where your high school is located, you're definitely under the microscope. But what was really interesting about following her career was just the different types of experiences that you got to have. I was about 7 years old when she first ran for Ponce Inlet Town Council. Ponce Inlet was a couple thousand people back then, and I used to go door to door around our neighborhood, and I used to have a homemade T-shirt, and it said "Vote for my mom," and that ink that you could buy from Walmart and just put on a shirt. And I guess it worked because she won. And then going back 20-something years later to her last election, I was still helping her out. Still went door to door in Port Orange, knocking on doors, asking for votes. I probably spent every summer walking around Cypress Head and Countryside, Willow Run, and if you're listening to this podcast, I probably left a palm card on your door handle at some point. I've walked hundreds of miles, if not thousands of miles in the community, and that's something that it doesn't sound like the best way maybe for a young person to spend their summers is walking around and looking for votes. But you just get to meet so many interesting people and have so many experiences that you probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
It makes sense. And, you were talking about, the love that she had for education. And it was one of my next questions. What did she love and what her passions were? And, you mentioned about education, about wanting to be a school teacher. And when she passed away in 2018, I was reading articles, and it was mentioned that former Florida Senate President Joe Negron had said, "I personally admired her passion for education and was proud to have Dorothy serve as chair of the Committee on Education during my service as Senate President." Negron cited Hukill's work to expand the Bright Futures Scholarship, as well as her commitment and dedication to teaching financial literacy in Florida schools. So that really kind of sums up that question of what does she love, and you can just tell from other people how much she really loved education.
Yeah, and on a personal level, I think anyone that met my mom just one time, they knew immediately what she was all about. She was kind of a what you see is what you get kind of person. She was a very proud New Yorker who loved Florida. She was happy to wind up in Florida. She loved Star Wars, the movie. R2-D2 was her favorite character. She could not get enough chocolate. And she loved music. She loved the Pointer Sisters and Carly Simon and Roy Orbison. And I think most of all, she really loved when she was able to be around people and try to help people out. Even after she got elected to the legislature in 2004, everywhere she went, she would always talk about how she loved being mayor the most. And I think the entire time that she was on the council, I remember Port Orange had wildfires in '98. There were tornadoes. There was the 2004 hurricane season. And I remember she was at the Emergency Operations Center during the wildfires. During tornadoes or hurricanes, she would visit families whose homes had been damaged or needed help during the hurricanes or the tornadoes. She didn't know how to operate a generator. She didn't know how to work a chainsaw. But if you needed that sort of help, she'd get somebody out who could do it. And I think that's really where she was at her best. I mean, she just loved helping people who were in need, who were in a tough spot where she could just reach out and give them a hand.
Sounds like an amazing woman. I really was unfortunate not to get a chance to meet her. And, it reminds me of how Port Orange is today, regarding whether we have hurricanes or a disaster or whatever. Everyone's up to chipping in and helping each other out. And I can see that firsthand as I'm in the Emergency Operations Center with hurricanes, and as the public information officer, I see that with citizens wanting to help each other too. So you can tell she was definitely in the right field for what she wanted to share her passion with, for sure. So we're talking, of course, on education seems to be the theme, but I'd like you to tell us a little bit about this new charitable foundation that you're about to launch, and give us a little bit more insight about that.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Mom had battled cervical cancer for several years before she passed away in 2018. And after her passing, we set up a charitable organization called the Dorothy L. Hukill Foundation. And the goal of that is really to help other people like her, the younger generation, who want to pursue a career in public service. So whether that's teachers, law enforcement, public servants of any kind, but they don't have the resources to be able to go to college. And we just got started, but we've already been fortunate to partner with another great local organization, which your listeners will probably be familiar with, the Futures Foundation for Volusia County Schools. We've been working with Cynthia Ramirez and her team, and we are now supporting their Take Stock in Children program. And Take Stock helps students from low income and underrepresented groups and helps them attend college. And what it does, it's a terrific program. It identifies eighth graders from around Volusia County who are at risk in some way, and puts those kids into the program as long as they keep up with their studies in high school, stay out of trouble, and participate in the mentoring programs through Take Stock and Futures Foundation. They will have a Florida prepaid scholarship purchased for them so they can attend college. It's just a terrific program. I mean, you talk about how some of these kids and families would be able to attend college and be able to have those doors open to them. If not for that program, it just wouldn't be there. So it's really tremendous what they've been able to do. Earlier this year, we purchased scholarships for 5 Volusia County high school students. 3 of those are actually in Port Orange. We have 3 ninth graders at Spruce Creek in Atlantic. So the program so far is going great. And then next year, as we move forward, we're hoping to support another group of students and then start expanding our offerings as well. We want to offer an internship program to students who may want to get into public service, whether they want to go intern somewhere at the local level or maybe the state house or the Senate or the court, to be able to get a leg up in starting their career, and then possibly some job placement elements of a program as well. So it's a terrific program. We've got a lot of early feedback. People are excited to get involved, and we're looking forward to continue to engage with the community to support the Dorothy L. Hukill Foundation.
Wow, sounds like an amazing foundation. How can our listeners find out a little bit more? Is there a website or information that they can look for?
Yeah, we're on Facebook now, facebook.com/DorothyHukill.org. So facebook.com/DorothyHukill.org, all one word. Listeners can go on there, take a look, and hopefully support us and support our mission.
Oh, that's great. I really appreciate you sharing that for us. This is like the perfect segue for that. And, you're kind of following in terms of what she was so passionate for, right? That's great. Is there anything that else you'd want to mention to our listeners, either about your mom, yourself, the foundation, anything in general about Port Orange? Anything you'd like to share?
I would just say, it's been a really difficult and unprecedented year for just about everybody. And if you think about people who are in a really tough spot, our students and our young people have gone through things this year that, 15 years ago when I was in their shoes, you would have to maybe stay up late and study for a test or finish some homework. We never had these kind of obstacles thrown at us. So I think it's really important to just recognize that and support them as much as we can. Getting to college is probably more difficult today, unfortunately, than it has been certainly at any time that I know of. The cost of getting to college has been going up and up. Many families rightfully are wondering if paying for college is still worth it. And then you throw COVID on top of that. Our teachers are doing just a heroic job, but there are so many more challenges now for students, so many more distractions, and there's so much more stress. So, one of the reasons why we started up the foundation is because we believe that education is still worth it. It really can take somebody from any walk of life and take them and put them on a totally different path for them and for their children and for future generations. It made a huge difference in my mom's life, and I know it can make a difference for, the kids that are going through Volusia County schools right now. So I would just say to everybody, we'd love their help spreading the word about the foundation. I hope they'll get involved. Like I said, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/DorothyHukill.org. You can sign up for our emails, and after the holiday season, we're going to have some more announcements on ways that folks can get involved and hopefully give us a hand.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And I know, not in terms of students and teachers, but also hard on the parents, too, with having to maybe be a homeschool teacher that they didn't even think that they were even going to be doing this year in 2020. So I think it's hard all around for everybody, for sure. So I do so appreciate you being a guest today. It was love reminiscing and going back and hearing a little bit more, sharing more about your mom and learning a little bit more about what she has done here in Volusia County, and especially here in Port Orange. So
definitely. I want to thank the mayor and the council for honoring my mom in the Wall of Fame. Thank you, Christine, and thanks to everybody for having me on and for listening.
Sure. Thank you very much. And so just to recap in closing, it's important to remember those who have served the community with pride and care, and the city of Port Orange is committed to the continuing recognition of citizens who serve the community through lasting contributions. And of course, we're honoring here Dorothy L. Hukill. As I mentioned, the mayor is going to read a proclamation at the December 15th City Council meeting in honor of Senator Dorothy Hukill to be inducted into the Wall of Honor. And the next time you are in City Hall, take a look at the Wall of Honor. So again, this concludes the episode of the POG Show. And until next time. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on the POG Show. We've only just begun. And with you sharing, subscribing, and leaving a 5-star review for this podcast is really going to help launch us to the next level together.